Good morning, people. Let's look at a house today, which I never reviewed before. And this fragrance also, it's not a brand new fragrance. It's somewhat from the 90s era. So if you're interested in sort of like vintage classic kind of fragrances, keep watching. There have been pretty solid reviews from few reviewers on this particular fragrance. If you really want to check out the best of them, I think you can take a look at Sebastian Zara's review, and I think he hit the review on this spot on, and that's what inspired me to actually look into this fragrance. So the fragrance we're looking at is the House of Ungaro. I don't know if you call Ungaro or Ungaro. I'm gonna call it Ungaro, and excuse me, it's called Purlom 3. Okay, pretty badass, sort of like a, you can see the old style, old school sort of box presentation. It's a black and gold, and it's 100 ml EDT, and it's a house of Italy. Okay, is it here? It will say at the back, and bottom you're gonna find your batch code and barcode and stuff like that. Pretty standard box, I would say, black and gold, and I really like this tree. In the like a little tree in between the big, the golden tree, right? So there have been Ungaro Purlom 1, 2, and then there's a third version. So I haven't tried those, so I do not know. And the bottle is pretty cool. I really like the bottle. It's take a look at this. Okay, it's golden and black again, and it has some sort of a pattern here. It's like this wavy pattern, and it's not exactly straightforward bottle. So it's kind of nice, little unique. This part is gold. This is gold. Sungaro. Up there, nothing much. There's no what do you call that? There is no good lord, early mornings. Okay, never mind. There's no detailing up here. That's what I'm trying to say. The cap, if you take it off, it's snug fit. You know, it doesn't really click onto place, I think, but you can pick it up. Not very heavy bottle, but let's say your cap, not very heavy, plastic, cheap, light, and the atomizer is golden. And here you go, the black in there. Bottom is like this. So pretty nice looking bottle. It's a very old school gangster, like a gangster of New York, if you watch that film. So this particular fragrance reminds me of that. So I'll let you know my thoughts on it. It's a very complex fragrance. It's not like everybody's cup of tea. Okay, it's not gonna be like instantly crowd pleaser or something like that. This fragrance has depth. It has lots of tons of notes. And let me try to explain what I experienced so far. Before I start, this is early morning here. My scent of the morning is Original Vetiver by Creed. I'm planning to go for morning walk since there's no rain today. There have been like continuous persistent rain for the last 3 or 4 days in Bangladesh. So here we go. So this fragrance, I have it on my hand, right hand. I have my dry down. So let me show you the sprayer. The prices on these are still not very expensive. You can get this, I think, pretty affordable price, $40 budget. You can get the big bottle like this. I don't know if it comes in a smaller bottle, but I heard these are being discontinued or something, very hard to find. So I just got me a bottle. Okay, let's show you the sprayer. Sprayer is okay, very good sprayer, effortless, very nice. Okay, let that settle down. So this fragrance has notes like okay, let me try to remember all the notes. This has notes like lavender, rose. It has some green herbal notes. It has some woody notes. It has some sort of a oak moss. That is like a very interesting one. I don't know if the real oak moss has been used in this particular fragrance, but oak moss is banned in perfumery, right? You cannot use the real oak moss, real thing. So that sort of took away the potency from Kuros, fragrance like Kuros, maybe what do you call Van Cleef & Arpels. There's SAR. So they used to use, the particular component oak moss, and there are tons of other notes like lily of the valley, jasmine. There's like all blended in. You cannot pick up particular point, like any particular note from this particular fragrance. It's all mashed up together to make it a very dark, boozy. Okay, there is boozy notes in this, like I think there is a vodka note in this, but I get more like a Smirnoff kind of vodka. So I'll let you know my thoughts in a while. So it's a very complex, like all the notes are like it's like hard pressed, and then they gave you like, here you go. That's a real man's fragrance. Okay, so this fragrance, it does have a old school vibe. When you sniff it for the first time, you get like a, okay, you don't expect this opening. I didn't expect this opening at all. I was expecting, like, I'll show you a few other fragrances that I thought I thought it would be like something in the same line with Cartier Declaration d'un Soir Intense. Okay, because it has a dark rose and it has a very strong peppery opening like Spice Bomb. It's very modern. Okay, so very modern and very dark, nighttime, cold weather. Like it's a nighttime version of Cartier Declaration Tones for another masterpiece. Not many people have tried it or reviewed it, but I thought the opening in this is going to be somewhat similar. But no, this is totally different than what this is. You do not detect the rose in this on the first initial spray. What you detect is kind of like reminds you of 90s era smell. It's like when fragrances are like Versace used to have their very masculine fragrances, and that people would be like much more strength in their personality, and then they're like they're more outdoor sports people. Like what I'm trying to say is people are like movies like Little Weapon 2, if you watch that time, Terminator 2. So it has that vibe, it captures that time, that vault in it, from the vault it brings back. So that's the sort of memories it brings back. I smell this kind of fragrances back in those 90s era when you're growing up, we were in school. So yeah, this fragrance reminds me of that. So it opens up that, I said Smirnoff, right? So it has that sort of like a, I don't know why is it watery, sort of, if you mix alcohol with water, or you just put some ice in the drink, it gives off that watery sort of Smirnoff smell, so that's like a boozy, watery, kind of like watery boozy opening, and it has some sort of um, property to it. I cannot exactly pinpoint. It's maybe a floral, but I don't detect the rose. The rose comes much later. So it's a weird one. I will be honest with you. I cannot pick up, just even looking at the Fragrantica, I cannot say I pick up the notes from this. It's a very complex fragrance. And the age for it, I think it's a pretty mature men's scent. It's a kind of fragrance I think your uncles would wear, or middle-aged men could wear. Even women, they want to wear, it's okay, but it's a very dry fragrance. It doesn't have so much uh, I don't want to say like it doesn't smell wet. I mean, it's a very dry fragrance in such a way. Think of the rose. The rose will pop up much later, like my dry down here. It's almost like those rose, like Sebastian Zara explained. He said it's a butch rose, right? So it's a manly rose. It's not a very um, what you call feminine sort of rose. It's not a feminine scent whatsoever. Um, the aspect of this fragrance is the rose petals, like you take them all out, okay, very very mature rose at the last stage, and you put them inside a book, okay, and you like close the book and keep the book there for a month or so, or maybe a week, let's say a week. You take out those rose petals and you smell them. You're gonna have that sort of very old dusty sort of a rose smell, which has been like mummified, but the darkness of the rose has been restored still in that, in between the pages. So that's the sort of rose I get from this fragrance. It has some woody aspect to it. There's no pepper in this. There is no citrus in it, okay. If you're looking for citrus, there's no citrus in this fragrance. So this is sort of like old school classic, and let me show you a couple of other fragrance what I mean by old school classic. So it's not in the line with Cartier Declaration d'un Soir. Like even this masterpiece, I wouldn't say it's in line with that. That is much more modern, much more I would say like easy to like, sort of it will capture you. But this fragrance you smell first time, it's gonna remind you of this era. First fragrance it came to my mind was Zino Davidoff. If you even look at the bottle theme, golden and black, it has some coffee, it has some dark notes, it has leather and everything. It's a powerhouse, it's a old days powerhouse, which is Johnny Depp's favorite fragrance, like signature fragrance. That fragrance reminds me of, then second fragrance remind me of this kind of fragrance, tea rose. And this fragrance is sort of like what you call, the house is called the Perfumers Workshop Limited, right? So this has very old school rose note in it. I love it. I love it in the cold weather. It's like a potent rose note, which is a classic, okay. And I think it's pretty unisex as well, but this one is much more emphasis on the rose only, okay. The third one that reminded me of is this fragrance, Van Cleef and Arpels Porum. It has the darkness, as again you can see, golden and black. So they are not the same smelling fragrance as this one. It has not superb nose burning, like a animalic sort of feel, but it has that sophisticated feel. It's like a gentlemanly suit up middle-aged man. If you want to suit it up, you can definitely suit it up. You might consider this to be a Count Dracula fragrance, like his signature scent, not the age where he called them vampires, back in the days when people used to call them Dracula is coming, oh my god, run, so imagine Dracula is wearing something like this, Count Dracula. It's a very dark, very mysterious, and very scary, yet very romantic, that's the way I see this fragrance. So again, The notes one, I wouldn't say like I detected some of the like rose, definitely I detected on the dry down, that dry rose, that's what I was looking for. But surrounding factors, apart from the booze, apart from some of the florals, the lavender, I did not detect the rest of them, like particular note, like oh this is the particular note that's coming, like the woody note. So that's the brilliance or mysteriousness of this fragrance, right? So overall, this fragrance, it's for cold weather. I think even if it's a rainy night on a summer's day, you can put this on. I think it would be better if you're going for a mature dinner or mature date, nighttime. Daytime, I don't think it would be a great wearing. It's good for men, but women, if you want, you can try it out. But it has that sort of a masculine vibe to it. It's like American Gangster, as I told you, Leonardo DiCaprio film, right? Back in the era. So gangsters maybe, perhaps. Longevity, it's pretty okay. It's pretty good longevity on this. Old days fragrances, they used to last a long time. So I would say longevity is pretty solid, 8 out of 10. Versatility, I don't think it's a very good versatile fragrance, as it's not wearable in summer days right under the sun where I live. So I only can look for this in the winter time and when it rains, so I can pull it off. But it's not definitely daily wear fragrance. It's a special occasion fragrance. Uh, Age, as I told you, mature. Projection, it's very nice. It projects very, very good, but maybe for 2 hours. After 2 hours, it's more like a moderate projection. Okay. Price, it's very, very good. Pricing is very good. It's not expensive at all. It's very affordable. So kudos to the pricing. Presentation is all right. I mean, it's not the best presentation you'll see, but it's a very, sophisticated presentation. It doesn't look cheap. Okay. That's what I'm trying to say. Overall, this fragrance, I would say my final verdict on this is, do not blind buy this fragrance. That is my first thing. It's not a bad fragrance. It's not gonna like, you're not gonna like, you shouldn't expect something, like build up in your head, like this fragrance is going particularly this way. It will totally shock you. And it's a thing of a beauty. It's more like an artistic fragrance. So this sort of artistic fragrances, I don't say it's out of style, but it's not exactly in style. So this is something like, if you are a fan of cool water, let me tell you one last example. This is from this era. Okay, this is more like your daytime fragrance, like little bit of your father figure sort of fragrance. It has some responsibility to it, like it smells very responsible. If you like this era sort of fragrance, you should definitely check it out. Daytime, nighttime, that's the way I can think of it. But the rose note, particular rose note, and the boozy note, and the boozy note is not like a pure malt booziness. All right, so definitely sample it before buying it, but do not like cancel it or dismiss it based on, oh, it's an old fragrance. Okay, if you really want to get something old school classic that has a rose note, dominant rose note, which is masculine, I think Ungaro III is something you can look at. But try before you buy. Do not blind buy this fragrance. So overall, this fragrance, in my book, I'll give this like a solid 8, because it has elements from my childhood memory. So that's where I incorporate with this. But at the same time, it's not everyday wear. So it's not gonna get like a perfect 10 or 9 or something like that. But it's a good solid fragrance. Okay. So definitely check out Ungaro III. Thank you for watching. Thanks for being with me, and I'll talk to you soon. Have a very nice day. Time for the morning walk. Bye bye.